Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It is live from our studio here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra and also live around the world on 3news.com. Coming up this evening, concerns emerge over rights and abuse after some special students sitting the ongoing Basic Education Certificate exam, the BECE, were not provided with the appropriate examination material for their exams.
It didn't seem like it was an easy task just to read it. You have to look through and check it properly and find out the big issue inside. It's very confusing and hard to understand.
So you heard one of the concerns. We'll delve into this story much later in the bulletin. We have details as two of the examiners have also died in a car crash. Also in this package, Kolebu doctors suspend OPD services, citing restricted laboratory access as laboratory scientists reject claims by the doctors. And later in the bulletin, government insists on no strings attached deals as it breaks its silence on the rejection of a U.S. health deal over sensitive citizenry information.
Health sovereignty does not mean isolation, but we need isolation, purposeful one, partnership, and then we need that partnership without strings attached.
We will delve into the details of that story as well. We are live on 3news.com. We are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So do send us your messages or your thoughts on the many stories we have for you this evening. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries with Nura Mohammed. Hello, Nura.
Hello, Martin. First in the summaries, two Basic Education Certificate Examination BEC candidates have died following a road crash in the Upper West region. The deceased, identified as Tawfiq Ibrahim and Abdul Khalid, were pupils of Karia Roman Catholic Junior High School. Meanwhile, several patients have been left stranded at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital after doctors suspended all outpatient department OPD services, disrupting routine healthcare delivery at Ghana's premier referral facility. The suspension, which follows a strike action by medical doctors, has forced the hospital to turn away patients who arrived for specialist consultations on Monday morning. Only emergency and critical cases are currently being attended to. Meanwhile, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu has instructed the Ghana Education Service GES to reserve a portion of its teacher recruitment slots specifically for persons with disabilities. According to him, the directive stems from growing awareness about inclusion and equal opportunities within Ghana's education system. Also, the 2025 financial statements of the Bank of Ghana generated significant public debate regarding the financial condition of the central bank and the sustainability of its monetary policy operations. The bank reported very large accounting losses, including a comprehensive loss of approximately 34.95 billion Ghana cedis, a net operating loss of approximately 15.63 billion Ghana cedis, and a deepening negative equity position. And finally, the 2025 Also, still on that story, the 2025 financial statements of the Bank of Ghana generated significant public debate regarding the financial condition of the central bank and the sustainability of its monetary policy operations. The bank reported very large accounting losses, and that will be a repeat of what I read before. Finally, Iran said on Thursday, April 30, it would respond with long and painful strikes on U.S. positions if Washington renewed attacks and restated its claim to the Strait of Hormuz, complicating the U.S. plans for a coalition to reopen the waterway. 2 months into the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran, the vital sea channel remains closed, choking off 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies, and that has sent global energy prices surging and heightened concerns about the risks of an economic downturn. That'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you, Nura. Let's settle for the details of the stories now. We're starting from the big one, which was today's BECE that took place countrywide. And concerns have emerged over rights and abuse after some special students sitting the ongoing Basic Education Certificate examination were not provided with the appropriate examination materials for the exam. Visually impaired candidates writing the exam in the Efutu municipality of the Central Region expressed frustration after the West Africa Examination Council (WAEC) reportedly failed to provide specially formatted questions and answer sheets to suit their needs. The examination organized by WAEC will see a total of 620,141 candidates from 20,395 schools participating nationwide. This year's exam came with heightened vigilance as authorities step up efforts to curb malpractice, with WAEC urging candidates to strictly adhere to examination rules. Portia Gabor reports that some students who suffer low vision impairment were not provided the appropriate materials to sit the exams. Under the West Africa Examination Council's policy, candidates with special needs like those with low vision are entitled to two things: large print and extra time. She interacted with one of the students after the paper.
The print was very small. It needs to be enlarged a little bit so that it can, for me to see it. And also mostly it should be clear and precise, not that blur, or else it should be appear as another letter. One letter will appear as another letter. For example, A will appear like O, or H will appear like T.
How did it affect you when you first saw the question papers?
Because it affected me in a way that I can't explain it properly. But it didn't seem like it was an easy task just to read it. You have to look through and check it properly and find out the big issue inside. It's very confusing and hard to understand.
Going forward, what would you want WAEC to do for you tomorrow?
Just increase the print size and also check whether there is any faulty work inside.
And you had a student with a special need in that interaction with Portia Gabo earlier today. So day one is ended by now, and earlier in the day, the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu encouraged candidates to approach the exam with confidence and composure.
We are particularly concerned about the growing phenomena of exam malpractices. Last year, it affected about 178 candidates, and several papers were withheld. In some instances, the papers were cancelled. So to you, the candidates, honesty and integrity defines citizenship. Honesty and integrity defines patriotism. And honesty and integrity must be the hallmark of your molding. When I say molding, character molding to be able to serve Ghana better tomorrow. So don't engage in any exam malpractice. And to our invigilators, we expect nothing short of the highest standard of integrity. Last year, about 8 teachers were involved facilitating cheating, and they have been dealt with in accordance with law. About 8 of them have been convicted and sentenced, and they will be taken off the payroll of the Ghana Education Service. So we mean business, and we mean that walk to this exercise with the highest sense of integrity, as that defines your future and defines what kind of responsible citizens you'll be tomorrow. So I wish you all the best. You may retire to the exam room. I want to walk through the exam room and have a feel of it, and the media too should be interested in knowing the state of Ghana's education infrastructure. After the examination results are declared, but we undertake a massive public education exercise for you to understand what is required of you. But to the Ghanaian population, we are dealing with the symptoms of the problem. If we want to enhance the computerized placement system, we must invest more in education infrastructure, more classrooms, more dormitories, more laboratories, and improvement in the learning, provision of learning materials and the quality of it. So all the best in the exams. All right, thank you.
So that's the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu earlier today when he visited a number of schools to at least get first-hand information as regards how preparations are ongoing. My colleague Nura Mohammed also visited a number of schools here in Accra. She's with us in studio and will be helping us understand what she observed. Nura, thank you for staying. So which institutions did you go to and what were your key observations?
Right, so I visited 2 centers. One was the WAEC Center and the other was Accra Girls High School, where a couple of schools, sat their BEC. And upon arrival, it seemed they had already started. And so the students were inside, invigilation was ongoing. But then we could see some parents loitering about, waiting for the awards to finish the first paper, which was English language. So they could, stay with them, prep them for the next paper, which was RME. And we went back again.
So they wrote 2 papers today?
Yes, 2 papers.
English and
RME.
Okay.
Right. So after the RME, we went back, which was the last paper for the day. We went back to see how the exam went for some of the students. And, there were some mixed reactions here and there. Some said it was easy, it was too cheap. They had solved most of those questions in their past, questions and mock exam and all of that. And others too were, you could see that they were a bit distraught, yes, that especially with the RME, right?
Okay.
So RME, I think, hit some of the students a lot. So most of them, were complaining that they didn't expect the questions that came, but they put their best foot forward and they're hoping for the best.
Did they give any impression about any concerns about the invigilation? There are times that students may be doing the right thing, but the presence of the invigilator sometimes makes them feel intimidated. Did you get any sense from the students about
Well, my interaction with them didn't reveal anything like that. And, all of them said it was cool. Invigilators were firm yet accommodating. They did their work. I don't think we recorded any form of practice at the centers that I visited. Yes, so everything seemed in order.
Okay, so tomorrow we continue.
Yes.
It ends on Friday.
May 11th.
Which is?
Next week.
Next week,
Yes.
okay. All right, Nura, thank you for those updates. She visited a number of exam centers, and many of you who have watched writing or probably someone who wrote today's paper, do let us know what they expect, what the outcome was today, the first day, especially because usually it's quite nervy when people are going to sit for exams. But as a ward or as a parent or someone, if you saw these students or you probably supervised them or invigilated, do let us know in the comment section what your general impressions were when today's papers started. And again, we would want you to know that it was not just the education minister. A number of members of parliament also toured a number of exam centers across the country, because we are talking about over 620,000 candidates writing the exam. The biggest concern has always been about that of invigilation and how exam malpractices mar the beauty or the essence of these exams. So if you witnessed anything like that, or you are confident this year we are not going to be recording any such anomaly, do send us a message on our streams. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and you can also see these students in their preparation and how today played out from the morning up until the end of their second paper, and I will let the world know about what your thoughts are. And again, let's stay on this subject, because the Director General of the Ghana Education Service has also been speaking to the media in a side interview after monitoring some centers in the Western region. The Deputy Director of the Ghana Education Service in the Western region advised teachers to remain calm and provide professional support to students as to not intimidate them. Let's listen to that.
All schools across the country. We are talking about 620,141 children, and they have a future to protect. The rules are very clear. These rules are set by the West African Examination Council, and we are implementers. We are encouraging the students to be ready, to relax, and to try and put out what they have learned, and for sure, by the grace of God, they will do well. No students who come near phone while coming to the exams, no foreign material whatsoever, no invigilator, no supervisor should risk his or her profession to go near exam malpractice. And while we encourage the students, we support our colleague teachers who are here. We encourage them to relax and provide professional support to the children so that they are not intimidated. Because for sure, they will replace us. And our wish is that they will do better than us. And everything we do is to support them. However, we don't want to train criminals. So we encourage them to relax and do what is it that they have been trained, they have been brought up, and they have been supported for the 3 years. And again, any teacher, any invigilator, any supervisor, and even let me tell my dear friend whose campus is being used, if anything happen here, then the center itself may be taken away. There's no compromise whatsoever. We are not intimidating people. We are intending to bring up a people with integrity, sincerity, and honesty. And that's the bottom line.
And you had the Deputy Director General there in that interaction with the media after his monitoring in the region. Staying in that region, though, we are told that, especially in Shama, Nyakrom, in the Western region, the exam did not start on time. Angry youth blocked the main road for hours, burning ties and holding up trucks and the BEC candidates. Some students were forced to walk for about 2 kilometers just to reach their exam center. The youth say they are done waiting. Irama Smith reports from Nyakrom about this particular incident that happened today.
On Monday morning, the youth of Shama Nyakrom followed through on their threat. They blocked the road to stop trucks carrying clay to Twyford Ceramics and Marco Polo Tiles, two of the biggest tile and water closet manufacturers in the country. The protesters burnt car tires to shut down the road. Even with police present, BECE candidates and their teachers were held up for hours. The leader of the Nyakrom Concerned Youth says their action follows government silence on their 1-month ultimatum to return contractors to site. He says heavy-duty trucks serving the tile companies have destroyed the road and warns the protest will continue daily until work resumes. Meanwhile, Nyakrom's youth say they will keep the pressure on until the road is fixed.
This one is a warning. It's a warning. That's a one shot. No one shot. Just 1.5 kilometers road.
It's just the beginning. The demonstration will continue until we see a contractor on our road.
But the protest did not just stop trucks. It stopped the candidates too. BECE candidates and teachers were held up for hours, eventually having to walk about 2 kilometers before they could find transport to their exam center. For some students, the delay meant arriving at the exam center shaken, tired, and late.
Today we are writing BEC at Unicta Learning Center, and the students have to walk all the way to the junction before they can access the main road to Shama where they are writing their paper. It is very critical and has seized academic work because learners, our buses are not even able to move to the junction, not to talk of bring the students back to the school. And so this morning we are calling on the government, they should please come to our aid, help fix the Nyakrom road so that we can have smooth access to the school for education and academic work to go on. Thank you.
For students in Nyakrom, The BECE started not with a pencil, but with a protest. Iroma Smith, Yankrum.
Right, so that clearly gives an indication of what happened in Nyankrum in the western region. Elsewhere in the upper west region, 2 basic education certificate exam candidates have died following a road crash in that region. The deceased, identified as Tofi Ibrahim and Abdul Khalid, were pupils of Charia Roman Catholic Junior High School. They were reportedly traveling by motorcycle from Charia to the exam center in Wa when the incident occurred. Sources say the two were on their way to join their colleagues to sit this year's exam when the motorcycle was involved in a crash. That actually happened on Sunday. The candidates were traveling to stay there for at least a few days before the exam starts, and unfortunately they met their death in the process. Now let's try and get a general sense of how all of this has played out the first day of the BEC, and whether or not there has been a challenge with how preparations have done for the pupils. Bright Appiah is the executive director, Child Rights International. He's joined us on phone for a quick chat. Mr. Appiah, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Martin.
From a child rights perspective, we've heard a story about some candidates, especially those that had special needs. They were not given the necessary assistance in terms of the legibility of the papers, the question papers, or even any form of assistance in one of the reports we've had. Generally, what kinds of reports have you picked up, and what's your assessment of today's exam?
Well, in terms of the papers that they are writing, I think there's some kind of a minimal interference in terms of the lateness and other things, and then the calm environment that they are writing it. I think that it's generally okay. What we are picking has to do with the kind of attention that they are giving to vulnerable children. And that reflects in the kind of preparation that they've made till today. Because most of the things we expect that it will be done before this very day for the children to have the opportunity to write the exam. So just as you have mentioned, there are issues with persons with disability, persons that are pregnant that to some extent the examiners are not allowing them to write, or the parents are not allowing them to even get to the examination center to write it. And those who have to walk a long distance to go and write the exams. There are areas that, for example, when you pick the Gosu area, we picked information that some of the students have to travel through a river, cross it before they were able to go and write the exams. And some have to seek for accommodation in those areas to be able to write the exams and all that. So these are some general difficulties that we've had, and we think that something needs to be done about it. But the most important one has to do with how, or the treatment that we are giving to persons with disability. I feel like we need to have done all this profiling to be able to know the number of children who are vulnerable that will be writing the BECE, and then they make provision for it. And for me, I think that is not even a border to the system in terms of developing certain KPIs to identify those children so that they can give them the special attention that they deserve. And over the years, I think these are things that we have to test WAEC on, because we've been running exams for us for so many years. So these are issues that we should not even discuss in terms of it, the lack that we are experiencing. But they should be up to their game to be able to make sure that, yes, there are some children that are vulnerable that we need to pay particular attention to.
And would you agree to those who say that this amounts to the violation of the rights of these kids that needed special assistance? And if so, should it be a WAEC problem or a Ghana Education Service responsibility?
I think that it's both, because if WAEC is the examiner and the Ghana Education Service is supposed to give them data as to what is happening, and then those that have been classified as vulnerable people or person with disability, and then the kind of attention that we need to give to it. So the kind of attention must exist within the scheme of WAEC, and that would even facilitate how Ghana Education Service would also design the way and manner they give data to them. So if they have not, they don't have those KPIs, it will be very difficult for us to take it for granted, especially Ghana Education Service and all that. And if Ghana Education Service do not also have that as a priority, then you can imagine the kind of difficulties that you go through. So it's clearly a violation. And for me, I think that if there's any child that have gone through that ordeal and feel that his or her right has been violated and they need assistance for us to be able to pursue it for them, we will do that. Because in most of these human rights violations, it is a personal matter, and somebody must be bold enough and say that I want to test it to see how it is. And so far as we are concerned, we are ever ready to assist any child or their families to test some of these provisions and see how best we can safeguard and protect our children.
Right, and in wrapping up our conversation, so this is day one. The exam will end next week. Now that we've observed this kind of challenge, what kind of advice would you give in going forward? Or we probably have to forget about this year and put these interventions you are proposing in place for next year?
Yeah, for next year, I think that this preparation must be there, because it's not even we should not even wait for next year to be able to do the needful. Right from tomorrow, I think that WAEC together with Ghana Education Service must take the pragmatic step to deal with some of these things so that children do not go through that. But if we still continue, I think that we advise yourself, and if there's a need for us to have a class action or a group action, we will do that. So it's just for them to sit up and do what is expected of them.
Right. We are grateful for your time. Unfortunately, I seem to have dropped the line before concluding and showing appreciation to Bright Appiah, the Executive Director of Child Rights International there. We also do have on the line John Kapi, who is the Director of Public Affairs for WAEC. Mr. Kapi, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, and thanks for having me.
What would your assessment of day one be? Although we've recorded different scenarios from across the country, what would your general assessment be?
Okay, thanks, and good evening to your listeners. I would say that for day one, we would say that it has gone quite well, despite the initial, hitches about examination material getting to some of the centers late. We have not recorded any situations where, people may have not received examination materials and therefore have been deprived of the opportunity to write the examination.
And we've also had claims of some students who had special needs not being given the requisite assistance. One particular case, the child, we are told, has low vision and so needed a bit more legible scripts to be able to read and answer correctly. Have some of these concerns come to your attention, and what in your estimation could have been done to salvage this?
Well, for now, I have not received any such complaint. But usually what happens is that in the course of registration, we indicate that if there's any candidate who needs any form of assistance besides what we'll give to the child who is in a regular classroom. So, for example, those who are visually impaired, those who are hearing impaired, those who have cerebral palsy or any other form of disability. We also provide the opportunity for those who have low vision, like you've just mentioned, so that we make provision for them. Now, in our system, we call that one bold print. So, for example, instead of maybe font size 11 or 12, theirs will be like 20 or 24, just so that they will be able to read, comfortably and be able to answer the questions within their own comfort. So if there's any such situation that has arisen, then the possibility is that we're not notified about this particular case, because we have always done this for ever since I joined the council. We have made provision for candidates with all of these, challenges.
And under this circumstance, is there provision for assistance for these children now that like you're indicating, maybe WAEC was not, notified in time to make the requisite preparation. At least now that it's come to your attention, are there plans in place that we can fall on to ensure that the rest of the papers, these students get the needed assistance?
Well, I'll have to speak with the head of test administration because some of these things are a bit technical. You don't just go, speaking about them in simple language like that. We'll have to speak with the relevant departments in the office and know whether they are, in a position to provide any assistance going forward.
Right. The papers just began. We know we have a few more days to go. What are your expectations? Of all the reports we've heard, none seems to tilt towards malpractice, at least from our side. But from where you said the malpractice concern you have you recorded any such incident today? And going forward, what are your expectations ahead of the last few papers?
Yeah, so per my last count, we already have about 7 teachers who have been picked up for various offenses. Most of them, about 5 of them, were mobile phone offenses, and 2 were people. One was reproducing answers which he wanted to go and distribute to the candidates. The other one was distributing, answers to candidates, and then they were picked up. So apart from that, we haven't recorded any other. So where I stay, this is what I have so far. There could be a few more because the day has just ended, and the reports are going to be, transferred to me in the course of the evening and then tomorrow morning as well.
Oh, you mean even after all this public announcement and caution, today about 7 people were still caught malpracticing themselves?
Yes, unfortunately, they are all teachers.
Wow. Okay. So, we'll see. Like you're saying, the day is still early, so we'll see how the day ends, and then through ahead of the remaining days, we'll be interacting a lot more with you, Mr. Kapi.
Sure. Right.
Thank you so much. And he is the Director of Public Affairs at the West Africa Examination Council, and I'm quite surprised that even after the caution, the many public cautions, some individuals have still been arrested in line with the, misbehavior, or for lack of a better expression, they were caught engaging in different acts of malpractice. Some actually had their mobile phones, like Mr. Kapi just explained to us, and were distributing the answers or sharing the answers. So it looks as though some people are just stubborn in their ways. Would update you subsequently on how the WAEC deals with this particular issue, and we'll stay with you throughout now up until the last paper, which is next week. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We have just completed a round-the-trip story on how the first day of the examination has gone, the basic education certificate exam today, which started today. We would update you subsequently on any new developments. Stay with us. When we return, we'll take you to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where they have some doctors, they have decided to embark on strike, leaving many patients stranded. This is 3FM 92.7. To health-related subjects now, and more than 1,000 doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have withdrawn outpatient department services, which is the OPD services, leaving many patients stranded. The doctors say that the decision follows their inability to access medical laboratories within the hospital, a situation they describe as a direct threat to their ability to provide quality health care. Meanwhile, medical laboratory scientists have completely rejected the claims being peddled by the doctors. Our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku has been following this story and joins us with an update, or at least has been reporting on this. Let's listen to Daniel now.
For the past 12 to 14 years, unresolved tensions have existed between medical doctors and laboratory scientists over who should manage the laboratories. Historically, since the 1970s, laboratories have been under the supervision of medical doctors. However, this arrangement has increasingly been challenged by laboratory scientists, leading to long-standing disagreements between the two groups. Attempts to resolve the impasse, including efforts by the former Health Minister Kwekwa Jimamenu, have been unsuccessful. The issue has resurfaced, with laboratory scientists insisting they are professionally trained to manage the laboratories, while doctors maintain that they have traditionally overseen these operations. The standoff has now compelled doctors at Kolebu Teaching Hospital to suspend OPD services until their concerns are addressed. Chairman of the doctors, Dr. Kwekwa Asarofe, expressed concern that doctors have been denied access to the laboratories.
This problem has been back and forth, several committees working on it from the ministry to everywhere, and it's not being resolved. Somebody must take the decision that no, allow doctors and everybody who is working in a lab to come and work. You can't say, I will not allow. So we want that administrative decision to be taken.
He also questioned the credibility of laboratory results produced without the direct involvement of doctors in the process.
These days, doctors, because we also train through the labs, we're able to interpret the lab. So if you are sitting in front of me and you don't seem to have this problem that the lab is saying, I won't give you the medicine. I will ask you to go to a private lab and repeat. Then most of the time you see that the results from the private lab comes differently, which matches with the patient's condition, and you confidently can treat the patient.
The remarks have drawn criticism for laboratory scientists who insist they are fully qualified to manage laboratory operations while continuing to collaborate with doctors. The chairman of the laboratory scientists at Kolebu is John Nakoja.
They want to take leadership of central laboratory. They want to subject the medical lab scientists to their control. We are regulated by different councils. So to allow someone from a different council or regulator to superintend under somebody else is an affront on the law. So this is why we say we will not allow, and if that is what they are terming us, we deny them access to the lab, so be it.
Meanwhile, the national president of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union, MELPO, Dr. Cephas Akoto, has criticized the doctors for questioning the credibility of laboratory results.
Misleading information in the system to the extent that a whole doctor can be on radio to say that we produce over 50% of the results produced from laboratory are inaccurate. That is very, very surprising. It means that the whole of Kolebu has to shut down immediately for the national leadership of this country to investigate that information. They are on set lying to the whole public that we have physically threatened them to leave the space. We will pursue that.
So that means they go to court?
It is possible because it's an issue of defamation. They have to clear our name.
The ongoing dispute is taking a toll on patients, many of whom have been left frustrated after being unable to access OPD services.
I don't know what side. If I drop him, I'm not going to cry. I can't call a 1,008.
I am coming from Dodowa. I spent 1,800 cedis on my transport. I am very worried with the situation because there is no doctor to cater for you. It's very bad.
Government must address the issue so that our brothers who are due for surgery can be operated upon.
Management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has so far declined to comment on the matter.
And you heard that report put together by our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku. And so we are going on to some stories also quite related. And the Unposted Environmental Health Work Officers and Assistants Association of Ghana is calling on government to urgently address delays in their postings and financial clearance. In a press release dated the 4th of May 2026, the association says despite engaging the Ministry of Local Government since 2021, their concerns have not been resolved. According to the group, the minister had assured them on the 15th of December 2025 that their concerns will be presented to Cabinet with feedback to follow. However, nearly 5 months later, they say there has been no communication. The association describes the silence as worrying, especially at a time when Ghana continues to face public health challenges. On the line now is Awine Fred Atinga. He is General Secretary of the Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants Association of Ghana. Mr. Atinga, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to our your cherished listeners and viewers.
I honestly did not know there was an association named the Unposted Environmental Health Workers of Ghana. What exactly do you do? What are the key things that you handle or do in terms of your work outline?
So, Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants came into being in 2021, and we have been on 3FM and TV3 on several on several occasions, and TV3 hasn't, and then 3FM haven't left us alone. We have always been together. So our mission is simple. We are graduates who completed School of Hygiene, Tamale and Accra, and we have been in the house since 2021 up to date. We have 5 badges that have completed, totaling about 3,470 graduates who haven't been given financial clearance and posting yet because the government then and currently were given excuses of IMF ban. There's no financial clearance. The fiscal budget space is too small. And that is the reason why they could not post us to help curb this public health situation, which is about sanitation. And we could all remember that last 2 years, people died out of cholera, typhoid, malaria, and even hepatitis A, B, C. People were affected. So we deem it fit that. Why is it that they are not telling us that there's no financial clearance, that our sisters and brothers from the other institutions like the nursing, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education getting it, and we that are even having lesser number are not even getting it. So we find it weird, and then we put on a demonstration on the 15th. The Minister of Local Government, Honorable Ahmed, assured us of transparency, good communication between us, collaboration, that we should all come together and see what we can do. But at the end of the day, since 15th December 2025 till date, 5.5 months now, we try to even engage them. They asked us that they will be calling us after meeting cabinet on 23rd of December, and they will get back to us whether positive or negative results. But we are even trying to find out whether it was a negative or a positive one. Nobody is talking to us. So our members who are disgruntled, our members are frustrated, not only because they are frustrated for not getting the job, but the public health is also at stake. So at the end of the day, our people who have been sent us to the ministry, we give them feedback that we don't have any, we have not seen the minister, we have not spoken to anyone, we have not gotten any information. Sometimes it's like you go there and maybe these political things, they end up giving you something and you went back and you are quiet. So this time around, we are telling all of our members that come and also see what is going on. We want our people to have trust in us. Our members should have trust in us that Minister of Local Government, the head of service for local government, the finance minister haven't given us the clearance and the posting. And listen, so on the 12th of this month, we are going to the Minister of Local Government until we are given the financial clearance. We are not leaving. So mattresses should be expected, cylinders, firewood, and then a whole lot kitchen staff will be there until we are not. If we are not giving the financial clearance and posting to our various stations to ensure that Ghanaians are safe, of which I and you need to be safe, we are not leaving there.
I mean, I can appreciate the concerns you've raised here. Is it that there has been no communication at all since 2021, like you indicated, and after the December interaction you had with the health minister, you have not heard anything?
Formally, because of the unplanned nature of this country, sometimes, sorry to say, we were moved to Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Then the engagement there was sometimes you go there, they don't even give you attention. You will be sacked from there. Then we followed up with demonstrations. So they finally keep on engaging us. And then they'll give you 3 months ultimatum, will post you, it will get there, they'll postpone. So they have been postponing, and so 2024 that the past government left, and then the current government came. And this current government ride on the politics on it that when they come, there will be automatic questions for us, they will attend to us. Honorable Sam George was with us one day. Honorable Opariado was with us. But now they don't even think of us again. So that is politics or politicians for us. So we think that they have not also been giving giving us any attention, no information, nothing. So we think that I think they also need to be kept on their toes to remember that once when they come into power, sanitation will be a priority. But as they have come into power, sanitation has been given to DCs. Whether you are an environmental health officer, a sanitation expert or not, the DCE and the assemblyman will end up cleaning the whole place, cleaning gutters and putting the rubbish just beside the gutters and take pictures and send them to the Minister of Local Government and the Presidency, and the next day CAF would push all the rubbish back into the gutters. No environmental health officer, no professional. If there is professionalism, our country wouldn't have been in a mess as we have seen as far as sanitation, personal hygiene, and then and environmental health is concerned. Right. So we are calling on government that they should stop politicizing sanitation. They should stop giving technical work to sanitation to politicians and give it to us and give it to the various bosses in the various MMDCs, the environmental health officer, the DOs, the MEHOs, to take charge and not the politicians to come and do some camouflage and leave. So we are calling on them that we need environmental health officers. Certainly. And the country needs us. We also need the country to work with. So we are calling on them that whatever means they have to do, they shouldn't wait for us to fall sick and go to the hospital only to be treated malaria. If you go to hospital and you are treated of malaria, you are treated of typhoid, cholera, and co, it means the environmental health officer is not working, and that is not the issue. We are not even enough. Yeah. Others are retiring, others are traveling. So we are calling on government that they should not let the people see us like we are not doing our work. Okay. Just that the numbers are not there.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your concerns, and we hope that before your deadline of the 12th of May, government should quickly intervene so you can also help in the sanitation situation in the country. Thank you for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you, and we are most grateful for the opportunity given to us.
And that is Awine Fred Atinga, the General Secretary of the Unposted Environmental Health Officers and Assistants Association of Ghana. And you can tell that the current sanitation situation in the country needs some hands-on expertise. And from what we are hearing, these individuals have been given the requisite training and education to help in the sanitation fight across the country. So the earlier the government intervenes in this year plight, the better for all of us. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. We're shifting our attention to other issues still under health though, and many of you would recall that the last few days there were reports about a deal between Ghana and the United States of America going south, because Ghana decided to withdraw from the bill. Well, the health minister has been reacting to this, and he says that Ghana is determined to reduce its dependency on foreign aid, insisting that future partnerships must come with no strings attached. He made this remark while clarifying Ghana's position on the rejection of the United States health deal. Negotiations with the United States began in November 2025 for a $109 million health deal intended to support Ghana's health sector over the next 5 years. April 2026 was set as the deadline to conclude the deal, but with pressure mounting over specific terms, Ghana's Ministry of Health announced its decision to reject the agreement. Speaking on the sideline of the World Bank launch of its health, nutrition and population strategy, the minister Kwabena Minta Kando said that Ghana is ready to invest in its own priorities without external conditions.
We believe in Ghana that African nations, African countries must take their own destiny into their own hands. We should be able to expand or invest in the health sector. It's very critical. It does not necessarily mean that we don't need partnership. Health sovereignty does not mean isolation, but we need isolation, purposeful partnership, and then we need that partnership without strings attached. Ghana is willing and ready to invest domestically in where we need or where it's needed most. Last year, for example, our budget for the vaccine stood around $24 million. We had the money to invest in it. This year, our budget is around $49 million. We are investing in it because it's public good. Next year is increasing. So we are investing where it is needed most. Investing in vaccines is non-negotiable and it's a public good that irrespective of whatever happens per our economy, we need to invest in our health sector.
Kwabena Minta Kando is Ghana's health minister, and staying on relations of Ghana and other countries following the historic United Nations resolution on the transatlantic slave trade, which was led by Ghana on behalf of the African Union. Sections of the public have questioned the reasons that were given by UN member states who voted against the motion or abstained. At a meeting with the diplomatic community in Ghana, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa noted that bilateral relations between Ghana and those countries will not be affected by their decision to vote otherwise. Let's listen to the minister who has been addressing a number of these expatriates and diplomatic missions who have been in Ghana, and were at that meeting with the expectation that the minister would update them on the way forward regarding how they intend to foster stronger relations and ensure a stronger partnership going forward. We'll bring you that insight to you subsequent bulletins. But before we bring you business and sports, you know that Ghana's performance on the World Press Freedom Rankings has come up for discussion. Now, Ghana's rise to the 39th position on the Global Press Freedom Index is being hailed as progress, but the industry remains under strain from ethical breaches driven by misinformation and disinformation. As the World Press Freedom Day is observed, media leaders warn that the country's fragile gains risk collapse without urgent reforms and uncompromising ethical standards.
Things, you communicated it ahead, and we did our best.
So on the back of that, we would want to say a big thank you for your time and for paying attention to the key stories we brought to you this evening. You recall that our headlines have largely been on an assessment of day one of the BECE, and many of you have shared your thoughts with us. We crisscrossed the country to get an idea of how day one ended. Again, the big issue of health was part of our headlines, where a number of doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have laid down their tools. They are on strike, and this is already biting hard because a number of patients who attended upon the hospital for necessary medical assistance have been left stranded. Some have turned away because they could not get the needed assistance they required. And our last interview was on the health workers who say that they are they've not been given the necessary financial clearance, although they've been promised by the health minister. They've not had the necessary clearance to be able to get to work, and they are sanitation officers more or less pushing the agenda that their absence is part of the reason why the country is suffering from the current filth that has engulfed a number of challenges. So time now for the latest in the world of sports, and you know that for many of the sports lovers, the World Cup is just next month. Today we are hearing reports that it looks as though the two most populous countries in the world, China and India, may not get to watch the World Cup because no agreement have been signed with either FIFA or any of the broadcasting institutions, What would this mean going forward? We'll update you on all of that later. But Reku Ampofu joins us with the latest in the world of sports.
Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Reku Ampofu. Ghana will discover their opponents for the Africa Cup of Nations 2027 qualifiers when the draw is held on Tuesday, May 19, 2026, as the Confederation of African Football begins preparation for the road to the next continental showpiece. The Black Stars will be seeking redemption after missing out on the previous edition of the tournament, a rare setback in their history and the first time in over 2 decades that they failed to qualify, while also going through the entire campaign without a win in the qualifiers. CAF has confirmed that the qualification series will run from September 2026 to March 2027, setting up a tightly packed schedule leading into the finals. Let's now head over to some athletics, where Ghanaian sprinter Asiedu-Dartey has voiced frustration over what he believes is the unequal level of support given to athletics compared to football in Ghana, reigniting debate about how support and resources are distributed across the country. Speaking candidly in Botswana after the team secured qualification to the World Athletics Championships, that's for the men's relay team, the Ghanaian sprinter did not hide his disappointment over what he described as a long-standing imbalance in attention, investment and backing for athletes outside football.
Yeah, because when we go for a competition, like, we normally bring medals, yeah, but when it comes to football, like blasters and all those stuffs, like it's something that you cannot talk about.
Yeah.
Even imagine just recent African Cup of Nations, they couldn't qualify.
Yeah.
Just imagine. But when we make it to the world stage, like, we normally manage to bring something home, but the support that we needed is not coming like how it's going to the football.
And so that was Asiedu-Dartey, who was part of Ghana's 4x100 meter relay team that competed in Botswana over the weekend to secure qualification to the World Athletics Championships. Now, before we go, there was Premier League action earlier today as Nottingham Forest surprised Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, beating them by 3-1, a result that boosts the survival hopes of Forest, who are now hoping 6 points clear of West Ham with 3 games to go in the Premier League. This is their head coach Victor Pereira speaking after the result against Chelsea this afternoon.
Here before our players, a special group, as I said before, very special. They are ambitious, they are united, resilient, they are fire, and with our supporters today. We came here and we got 3 points more, important to walk until the end of the season, keeping our lives in our hands. This is the most important. Not looking for the results of the other teams, but focus in our results, focus in our spirit.
That was Nottingham Forest coach Victor Pereira. Now, before we go, there's more Premier League action later on Monday night as Manchester City face Everton, knowing that they're 6 points behind Arsenal, who have 2 games in hand. My name is Reku Ampofu for bringing an end to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7.